like Best in an interview once, and this is kind of his mentality. If you can land some shots and not really lose anything in exchange or put people behind, those are small victories. That's how you kind of chip away and get closer and closer to overcoming the lobby and or changing, you know, other people's situations so they don't get too comfortable, because Fortnite's a game of steamrolling. Once a team at a certain point hits a momentous push, they're kind of hard to stop. And we know now that in Chapter 2, some teams are just that good. I mean, we saw in EU, Aqua's a great example of a team that when they get going, they just go and they pull multiple victory royales back to back. And the same thing can happen in Fortnite. So I do agree with you. Every single engagement matters to a big degree, whether they know it or not.
Yeah, it's true, man. It's wild what a lot of these players, when you're playing in an environment like this that's constantly changing. There was a good conversation I think that Shy and Tim were having yesterday, where they were talking about, you know, what are you playing for in this competition, right? Are you playing for just for the training, just for the experience? Are you playing to win, right? I find that to be probably the most compelling part of Battle Royale, because when you commentate like a standard team-based FPS game or something, and we are going to have an engagement here, by the way, from Tavern and Penguin. Maybe we want to try and get into this one, but basically to wrap up the point was, you know, if you're in the grand finals, you're playing to just prove that you are the best. Simple as that, right? But for a lot of those players that were going to be in the heats, they're just looking for that experience, because this experience is super valuable. What if another Fortnite World Cup rolls along, right? What if another massive $1 million competition or multi-million-dollar competition pops up, right? You want to be able to have that kind of experience and be able to just find players and also compete at that level with individuals that have lived it, that have been in that environment in the past. So being able to just be as effective in game as possible and learn every little bit you can along the way is just massive. It is absolutely massive. But anyway, though, moving on, we got another duo here, Reet and Poodle, that will be just boxed up, hanging out right by the farms, just chilling. No reason for them to get too thirsty quite yet, as they will be inside of zone. We got some time before we go into the second one. And Monster, you know, game one kind of escaped us really quickly. We were just catching up on old memories, and then out of nowhere, we were just like, oh, it's endgame. Here we are. All
of a sudden, I look up and I'm like, wait, there's real action happening on the screen. We're in, half out. Speaking about that, at that same time, we saw Reet and Poodle. They had half in, half out. They had height, and they lost that game. Like, they didn't even earn, or they earned some points, but to have so much zone favor, walk away with 11 points is
makes you wonder what happened.
Yeah, it does make me wonder what happened. So was it luck that they accrued up the 11 because of the half in and half out, or are they going to be a low key team that we're going to have to keep an eye out? I know a player that we do want to know is Snow here. Snow is down for the count right now. He's down. His teammates battling Dopine and Kytrex. This is a crazy good duo too. They're going to get in the box. It's all over.
Yeah, they just jumped right in there, gave them no room to breathe, and they just send them packing, going, get ready for game number 3, my friends. You are going to have some time to think about that one. Very unfortunate, too. Snow and Slim actually came in to this one in 11th out of Heat 3. So one of those teams that had pretty much squeaked by. I think it was like the next point below, 32. Then it was like 31, if I'm correct. I got to look at the tracker, but... so it was very, very competitive in those heats, especially down to the bubble. Someone in chat did ask, they were like, do you know anything about future events? No, I do not. You have no idea.
Listen, you think that this roundhead of Golden Boy doesn't know anything, you're mistaken, right? Golden knows all.
All I know is to commentate Fortnite at an above average level, nowhere near the capacity that Bala, Monster, and Shy are capable of doing, or Clay, or Tim, the rest of the crew, because you guys have all been phenomenal. This was, I'm here for the love of it, man, because you guys have always been so great to me. So that's why I was like, let me hop back on the mic for one more time, one more again. You know what I'm saying?
Hey man, this is just enough to get the juices flowing. There's going to be many more opportunities coming up. You best believe it. But regardless of what, this is good stuff, man. It's good to touch back up, get some nostalgic voices on the line here. I'm sure this brings a lot of people back to the good old days of, Fortnite competitive. So definitely makes me feel good. Here we have
You know what, though?
Kaizui.
I actually really like. And we'll get to that in a second here because Domo and Kaizui, a duo I really like. They're gonna have that minigun too. Let's see what they end up doing with it. They're gonna have Kytrex and Dopey right in front of them. And Domo and Kaizui, this is a great squad. Second place in Heat 3. They have had a lot of success in the past. Well, at the very least, Domo has had a lot of success in the past. And then he won Season 1 finals, if I'm correct, in NA West. So he's a very, very talented player. I wonder what's going to go on with that fight, but we jump over to Thomas's POV now, as Thomas is just going to continue to hang out over here in his tower. Players playing slow. Thought players would get a little bit more aggressive, Monster. Not the case.
Hey, when bragging rights are on the line, you know how it goes, man. You gotta do what you gotta do. Take your time. Choose every fight wisely. I am also surprised though for the NAWS region, like you said, this is now looking like a stacker. This is looking more similar in line with some of the EU regions. The EU region has some of the craziest storm surge I think I've ever seen or casted over, for that matter. Kind of bugged out, actually. It was intense.
Dude, you love Storm Surge, man.
I'm telling you,
you like the chaos. That's what it is. You like the chaos.
It tells you a lot. It tells you a lot about the server and how serious they're taking it, right? Like how much is on the line, how much sweat, right?
What was the region in World Cup that was always pushing? Was it Brazil?
Oh, Brazil was crazy. You had 9Z King. Remember? That's where King popped off.
Yeah, man, that guy was nuts. He just was pushing every fight. Oh, you're Tfue? Nah, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna push this fight. Oh, did I eliminate you, Tfue? What a shame. You know,
the kid was on another level.
I love that level of Fortnite though. Don't get me wrong though. I like the slower play only because you can really get an opportunity to, as you mentioned, how players are going to be taking this, how players are perceiving this entire competition and the value that they're putting in it. But when you get yourself just some intense pushing, constant fighting. Oh, hey, look, it's the NA West 10. When you get a lot of those just insane matchups, man, I love it. It's so fun. But got River Sand and Falconer. As we take a look at them, they're gonna have Sins and backup, as well as Reg and Litzinio, as well as Vinny and Rich Homie Quinn. Ooh, big fan of that guy.
Rich Homie Quinn, and remember, Rich Homie Quinn is on no points, so what a scary duo to have perched up on top of you. Notice these players are off to the races now. There's about 2 or 3 already on rotate, trying to get cut across. Rich Homie Quinn and Vinny still below. Liquid Riverson and 100 Thieves Falconer are now on the move. Love how they're not waiting here, although they do have the short zone. They're all taking the rotate nice and early, 30 seconds before the storm even starts to move. They're going to get first dibs on at least choosing an angle into this next safe zone here.
Yeah, well, they don't really have to worry too much about it. They're going to be sitting nicely above the damage threshold, or at least for the time being. And I think the other thing too is this area on the map right here, right? This gigantic cavern can really just create a ton of weird rotations for a lot of players. So you're going to want to try and have to traverse that as quickly as possible, not want to worry about that. Then you got Wood and Dabsy here, as they are going to be in the middle of a fight now against Hoop and Tidal. Hoop and Tidal always seem to be in the thick of things here, but Dabsy's going to try and just play that defense. They need to top off. No, his teammate actually edits the wall out, and then Dabsy gets picked off on the side. And I don't think that they knew that, obviously, or else his teammate would not have done that. And that was Thomas. Thomas and Wavier just pushing his fight. Wood does have rockets. See what he does with this. He's going to get thirsted, and that is just unfortunate, Monster. I mean, right, the chances of that happening right then and there, losing out on your teammate now, and they're going to have to go on this one solo dolo.
That is true. He walked right into the big choke slam. Seemed inevitable now. Seriously, though.
The big choke.
He's stuck back here.
This is a bad fight for Wood, man.
I was going to say, we got Wavy Jacob. You know he's not going to let it go either. He's going to be remembering to look back and Stormgate him out. See those shots right there. It's going to cost some very valuable stuff. As far as the resources go for Do, here it is, catching back up. This is a 2-tick, so the next zone is going to start doing 5-tick coming into zone wave 4. You cannot afford to stick behind here. And look, they're still waiting. They're still
Look
waiting
how many
here.
resources Wood is burning through. He went through so much just to get back into this one. And Wavy Jacob and Thomas, they just had their eyes on him the whole time. They were also dealing with shots, I think, that were coming out from in front. But due to that, they still knew there was going to be an elimination that they can snag away. Also, smart awareness there from Wood to just start to farm out that tree. You need any bit of resources you can at this point. You got 33 builds to work with. No rockets whatsoever. If he had rockets, perhaps the complexion of this battle changes a little bit more, but it simply is not going to be the case. Wood is just going to have to play a very slow and patient game here and play for that placement, and it is going to be a long time before that ticks in, Monster, because we got 36 duos remaining. You get those 3 points for top 15, and it's going to be some time. Not a lot of builds for the rotation, too. I'm a little concerned about him.
He's got at least 3 to 4 more zones to go before the big placement starts getting distributed, like you said. And he's a target for Wavy Jacob here and Thomas, who, for a fact, know they need these points. This is like easy pickings for them right here. Notice he's still peeking that cone, looking up, try to see what they can do about it. Now there has to be a decision made, though. Go to zone or stick around. And the zone decision has been made. Here it is. They're cutting across now. As Wood's popping some shots down at them. Kind of some revenge taps, if you want to call it that. I didn't forget what you did to me last summer type stuff right there. Like, hey, you're there,
little horror
buddy.
movie.
Yeah.
A little horror movie action. All right, I get it. All right, here's Rex and Epic Whale, our game 1 winners, with 2 eliminations currently, and Wood finally picked off by Wavy Dolphin. You see it off screen. He was going to get his mark eventually. It was going to happen. Poor Wood. That was just a rough fight. Rough fight that just went south in a heartbeat. And when these players get close to one another in this kind of an environment where the real estate is minimal, folks are on rotations, there's just not a lot you can do. I would say this is probably one of, again, I've been out of the loop a little bit on it, but this is probably one of my favorite mechanics of the game, is the harpoon gun.
Harpoon gun is fire. Just being able to be so innovative with it. And I'm sure this is the crazy part. When they created it, they probably didn't expect it to be a metal weapon in the end game. It's just what the community gets so creative and innovative, honestly, because out of nowhere. I remember the first time I saw that in competition, I'm just all of a sudden, like, my mind was blown. I'm like, oh, snap. You're smart. That was smart. You're smart, dude. Didn't even think about that. Ooh, out of the cone peak, the mythic AR right there from Arkram. This thing hits for 74 to the head. Notice how Brookster here has no HP left. He is forced to heal up. You can effectively 2 to 3 tap someone, just depending on their HP. It's kind of crazy. Spectro sitting up there too. Spectro didn't have the greatest of times yesterday. Seems like he's struggling a bit here today too. As is Arkram and Andrew, who are no points so far.
Rain picked off Domo and his teammate as well. So Kaizui, excuse me. Just saw that on the feed. Some more eliminations starting to come through. Bumbo and 40R Storm are going to be falling a victim to Brokester and Spectro. Kind of stoked to see Spectro here as well.
And was just talking about Spectro needs to kind of turn up the gears. He's going to pick up Elim, so that's pretty good. I see Peace fall again, and Peace also someone who did not do very well game 1. So several players now starting to trail behind in the grand scheme of things. Remember, you only get 6 games, guys. Each one is so crucial, so important.
Just look at that half in, half out, and the clutter of bodies that are just circling all around that. And Rex is going to be able to knock down one on Snacky. He does take some damage, but Epic Whale is there to help him out, pick him back up, and he will get the Siphon credit for that one. Epic Whale is going to need to have to top himself off with some shields. And this is, you know, if they're able to do it again, this is going to be a lot more challenging, I think, given how this end circle is shaping out. But 25 duos remaining. They don't quite have the high ground yet, but they didn't have that when they won that last game.
That is true. They did win from the low ground. And an interesting thing I'm looking at here is it's over the agency. This is their home playground. This is where they land. I'd be surprised if they did not win this game now too. like I said, being that this is their territory. It's gonna cut over into a mass of water though, so anything can happen right now. We'll see how the zone starts to really manipulate the players' decision making here. Who's gonna go up? Who's gonna play low? If anyone has an RPG,
the tunneling will be so important here, and how you go about doing that. Riverson and Falconer, I think maybe they thought that they can go for a fight there, but Riversand's gonna take a ton of damage, and he ends up going down. That was gonna be Hoop. Hoop gets the down on Riversand, and that means that his teammate Falconer is just gonna have to go on without him. There's maybe Jacob and Thomas.
I was just gonna say that was direct power play for Hoop and Tidal there, because they were on the second page with 4 to 6 points. Taking out a top 10 team, pauses their traction, and now allows them to kind of break into that lead there. Rain almost is going to be a victim of the RPG. Lucky for him, it is going to mix there. I see Samster popping off in the feed still once again, and ooh, look who has height here, Golden Boys. Symmetrical and Leno from Team CLG.
Yeah, they are owning the high ground. As far as their resources go, I mean, they're not looking all that bad right now. And there are a lot of builds left to mess around with here that belong to other players, but they can just hold this for the time being, as that circle is going to be coming back over to the agency. So if you recall, it was going over that water. Now it's going to be circling its way back over to the agency. Leno ended up dropping down over to 69 HP. Just has to be very, very careful here not to get picked off. We've seen that happen a few times here. 19 duos remaining though, Monster. It's coming down to the wire once again.
And this
but
is
they have this high ground firm. They're holding this one.
Yeah, what's so scary about this is that it's going back over the old build. So it went cut out across the water. Now it's cutting right back. Look at the thick metal bases, all the pre-built tarps that's already here. This is terrible for a lot of the players without anything to pierce through builds. If you don't have a heavy sniper, you don't have a rocket launcher or something like that, you just have height. They're sitting here idle. They're going to be missing out on tons of points. As I speak about that, Rex gets just chopped down. He gets taken out. See him get knocked. Here's Arkham in a box fight, and that's the angle. This is the POV that I just saw. Arkham's actually going to catch Rex. 100 Thieves on 100 Thieves action right there, and now he's split. He's out.
And the Power and Fabs are there for the pickoff on Arkham as well, so Fabs and Power benefit from that. We're going to pop back over to Arkham's teammate here, Andrew, who just gets chunked and gets walled off. Needs to get underneath, though. He's playing around, just trying to keep his bearings together here. What is he going to be running into? Lots of builds that are going to be active in front of him. He's got Power in his sights. And you're right about just missing out on a few of those eliminations, but they do get themselves 4 for this one. And this is going to be all Leno that benefits from this. Fabs right above Leno, just trying to drop them down. Get rid of that build there. Bring him over to your level now. As Leno drops, goes down to 42 HP. Fabs still has the high ground. We're now down to just 4 players remaining, but the good news for Leno and Symmetrical is that they are going to be together. They can work with one another. You got Epic Tavern again finding himself in a top 5 situation. Top down there too. Those are the final 2 players left alive. They're just going to go right after them there. They dealt with Daddy Fabs. That's going to do it. This is basically going to be their game here. They just got to continue to rain down some of these rockets. They can very much win this. One player is going to be down. It is, it's Leno. Leno goes down. Tops, no! And Symmetrical blew himself up. What?
No!
And Tavern picks up the victory.
They just had the game. They had the game. They had the loot delivery. The harpoon. He pulled the RPG. They had everything. How dare he rocket himself with all this money on the line?
Bro, he just blew himself up. Let's take a look at the standings when we get a moment to do so, because that is another top finish for Tavern and Penguin. They finished out in the top 2 in game 1. Now they get themselves a victory. They're at 28 points. They shoot themselves above Rex and Epic Whale. But whoa, I'm trying to land. I'm blown away. I'm blown away.
Land the ship right now. I'm trying to land the ship back down on Earth right now. That was crazy. That rocket took me to another planet. There it is. The same way it took him right out the lobby. Okay, so all right. Second place, first place. Epic Tavern, Cool Penguin. Consistency. My gosh, closing the gap that I thought was going to be just unbreakable from Rex and Epic for a 20-point start. They only got 6 points that game for the zone landing on their location too. So kind of crazy that they didn't even walk away with the dub there. That was what a wild first game. But look who jumps up. Look who jumps up. Title and Hoop. They come right into that first place page.
Yeah, someone in the chat kept asking for Title and Hoop. And maybe that's why. Maybe they know what we don't know. I did not have Hoop and Title on my radar all that much. But certainly going to deserve that. And we kind of missed it in the craziness. So I do want to give a shout out to Ty Games and a few of the other people in Baller's chat right now who had mentioned that, yeah, the Rocket actually dropped Leno into Topha's box. And then he just got clobbered.
So not only did the Rocket destroy him, but it ruined his teammates' play as well. What a misplay, miscalculations, the RPG. We can continue to browse through these pages here just so that all the people at home can see kind of what's unfolding. Oof, what a crazy game. And that's the dangers of running the rocket launcher. Yeah. Such a sketchy weapon. You can see it's a double-edged sword for sure. I see Rich Homie Quinn on here. Okay, so he managed to escape Riverson and crew when he was making that big rotation. 9 points is huge coming from nothing. So now all of a sudden he could potentially be in conversation for top 10 here. That was kind of crazy.
Snacky are looking good too so far, and Faves and Power as well. Apologies if I'm saying if it's Favs or Faves, but that duo was like all over the place in getting in a lot of different engagements. A lot. Like they were always in the middle of some kind of combat, especially at the end there. So I think it was that high ground that ultimately did them in, and it was going to be symmetrical, and Leno that picked them off. But there were a few moments there where I was just like, man, could they actually pull off a win here? I guess we have another page to go through from some of the other players. And Arkham and